Hello there, and welcome to another Be Real with D Real, where edutainment is what I do. Records on this time. All right. I am going to be doing a special edition of my recommended reading segment. And for those of you that tune into the recommended reading segment, I'm going to be doing my regular recommended reading segment, but I'm going to do it on Monday instead of Sunday because I want to do this one on Sunday. Anywho, before I get into what I'm going to get into, y'all comment, like, and subscribe, and share the Be Real with D Real page. 3 reasons. Number 1, you get alerts when new material drops. 2, we push in the algorithm. I like to see me on TV when I'm watching YouTube. That's kind of cool. And also, because I'm kicking non-staticky, non-dramatical type things. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to entertain. Edutainment. That's my forte. That's what I do. If you want edutainment, come to this page. If you want to see people constantly arguing and fighting, then go to those other people because they like to constantly argue and fight. I ain't trying to argue and fight. I don't want ill. I just want chill. Don't nobody know nothing about that song. $50 if y'all no, let me say $5. If you could tell me where that line come from. I don't want ill. I just want chill and keep my hand around $100 bill. I'm saying that. Anyway, what I'll talk to y'all today about is Treasury Editions and just giant sized comics in general. Back in the like mid 70s to late 70s, early 80s, Marvel and DC had these comics that were like 11 by 14 or something like that, 11 by 6, this big. Okay, they were very huge comics. Marvel Treasury Editions is what they were called. And basically, they were reprints of older stories, in comic books that either, you couldn't get access to unless, you read comics digitally. A lot of people do. I don't really care for digital comics because it just I got to have something in my hand when I'm reading. You know what I mean? Or it was just kind of a situation where they're too expensive to buy the individual comics because you wouldn't be able to afford them. Like for instance, this comic right here encapsulates a story that appeared originally in Avengers number 52. T'Challa joins the Avengers. So a story's in here. Also, another story that's in here, the first appearance of the Vision. Okay, so these are some, it's a nice little way to be able to read these classic stories and not have to come up off a bunch of money. Also, it will be some original art on the back. You could tell this was made around, like, I would say, based on that roster that's on the back, around 77 or 78. Hey, wait a minute. Yellow Jacket and Giant Man are on the cover, on the back cover. How is that possible? Isn't Giant Man Yellow Jacket? See, that's back when folks didn't really pay attention to all that kind of stuff, and we weren't as 75, and we weren't as focused on trying to be perfectly perfect and say, oh, hey, this, and that, and the other, you know what? Don't do that, y'all. I mean, I understand if it's correct, if it's correcting someone, then okay, fine, correct them, but don't be no grammar or chronological police and just be jerkweeding it. Also, look, DC even got into the ad. This whole big old book was $1. $1 back in the day, man. Okay. I know y'all seen that. That's popular. Remember that pose that they used to show that Challenge of the Super Friends back in the day when they were fighting the Legion of Doom. They'd show that graphic. So yeah, you got that. There are a lot of old school Justice League comics. I mean, look at that. You can tell from the art that gotta be at least late 50s, early 60s. You know what I'm saying? This book came out in 1976, but it's got Justice League stories in it that were illustrated by Gardner Fox. Big ups to you if y'all could tell me about Gardner Fox. Let's move on. Also, got another Treasury. Also, well, I'm thinking about it. Ooh, there's a Treasury. There are two Treasury editions out there right now. That are really high dollar value. There are two Marvel Treasury editions that encapsulated the Star Wars movie from 1977, A New Hope, and it was like a part 1 book and a part 2 book. If you can find those books somewhere, they were for pretty penny. If not, don't trip. Money ain't everything. Neither is comics. I used to be a big Thor fan back in the day. I ain't saying I'm not a big Thor fan anymore, but I dug Thor because Thor was kind of like, he was the Marvel version of Superman. And so it was kind of cool to see him, doing things that were Superman-like. I guess that was my coolest thing I remembered about it. But these stories are these are the OG stories. These are the OG stories. You can look at that art. You see what I'm saying? I'll have to show you who that art is by. You should just be able to look at that and see that is some of the fantastic action sequences from Jack the King Kirby. But yeah, this is some reprints. See, it even says from the Thunder God Thor's premiere appearances, Journey into Mystery magazine. So you got a few Journey into Mystery issues in there that are entertaining and engaging. Also, this is one of my favorite Marvel Treasury editions. This one right here, giant superhero team up. There are 4 stories in here, as you can see, and also the original art. Thor and the Hulk, Daredevil, Daredevil and Captain America, Namor and the Thing, and the Silver Surfer and Spider-Man. Why does Spider-Man always pick fights with people that are 10 times tougher than him to prove that he's 10 times as resilient? I don't know. I remember that one. I did a video on the Spider-Man story back in the 80s where Spider-Man not only fought, but beat up Fire-Lord, a herald of Galactus. Why did he put it on Silver Surfer like that in here? I don't know. But these are some good stories. They're reprints of out of Namor's comic, out of the Silver Surfer's comic, out of Daredevil's comic. And this Thor and Hulk story is kind of a reprint and sort of a retelling of a battle that took place in Avengers #3 between the Hulk and Thor. And it's more of an extended edition of that battle, whereas in the original comic, it was only maybe 2 pages. But in this, it gets extended. Well, it was actually a Journey into Mystery comic, but it gets extended out into a full story where Thor asks Odin to lift the enchantment that will make him turn back into a mortal after 60 seconds because he wants to be able to engage the Hulk equally and show once and for all who's the strongest. So that was pretty cool. But probably the greatest, if not one of the greatest. Yeah, that one. Y'all remember that one? Batman versus Superman. This is a story that takes place, it was drawn in 76. It was written by Jerry Conway, Dick Giordano, and drawn by Ross Andru. Ross Andru draws a great Spider-Man. Not too buff, not too skinny. That's what I like about it. Dr. Octopus and Lex Luthor are the villains in this book. And when they fight, they blast Spider-Man with red sun radiation so he can square off with Superman and be his equal until he ain't. Then this one is 1981, and I think this was one of the last DC and Marvel collaborations. Dr. Doom and the Parasite are the villains, but also you got a battle between the Hulk and Superman, and kind of a battle between Wonder Woman and Spider-Man. So these Treasury editions did have some original stories from time to time. And the guy at my local comic book store told me they stopped making giant-sized comic books in the late 80s. And this one came out in 2003. This is Justice League. Yeah, this was the version of Justice League that was just, you name it, they in it. And it told a lot of, different stories from the perspective of the hero and not, the perspective of us, the reader. How the hero perceives his place in the world versus how we perceive him. Because as we all know, people in the DC universe worship their heroes. Here's another one. Brian Hitch and Mark Waid. Remember that era? Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern. Yeah. Arthur Curry, Aquaman with the hook. So it was that era. Bruh, Treasury editions are amazing. What else can I say? You got this big book you're reading. You look like a little kid with a giant book. That's how I felt when I would read them. I felt really tiny. It's like, oh boy, I'm reading this comic. But anyway, they are good reads. And as I said, it's a good way to peruse some old stories, some Gene Colan art, some Jack Kirby art, some John Buscema art. I mean, just the classics. And I'm just exposing you to it because it's what I do. You might be able to find some of these at your LCS. You might not. You could probably get on eBay and hustle and haggle with somebody and try to get it for a player's price. Or you could just break down and be digital. But like I said, I like to have something in my hands. What did y'all think about Treasury editions? Those of you who I know are old enough, because it's some of y'all that rock with me that's old enough to remember Treasury editions, tell me about what your favorite Treasury edition comic was. And if you have never read a Treasury edition comic book, if there was a giant comic like that, who would you like to see in it? Other than T'Challa. Gotcha. All right, as always, I'll be coming at y'all with another one of the mother ones. And until I am, y'all, be good. Be good to each other.